Welcome back to Chow Time Pods. Your host, Red. I love me a good Johnny Depp story.
Court-certified wife-beater Johnny Depp
What?
is planning his comeback. And yes, a judge determined he could legally be called that.
None other than Johnny
Wait, what? A judge determined he can be legally called that?
Depp is back in the news cycle, and I'm not mad about it. But the libs sure are.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. It does genuinely feel like hell right now here in Texas. It is too hot, and I don't
It has been pretty damn hot.
like it. And I hear apparently it gets even hotter in Arizona. Are you guys okay? Are you coping? I do not remember it being this hot in Australia when I was growing up. Maybe that's because I'm from Melbourne. Maybe this is a Melbourne thing. Anyway, everybody, please post me ice blocks, and if you hear me peeling off of my chair today, you know why. Now, as you all know, we typically talk about some very sad stories here on our Hell Gondola, but today I bring you a tale of triumph. Sort of. If nothing else, this is a story that has certainly made progressives really, really mad. Because, as it turns out, much to the chagrin
Like, Johnny Depp is men amongst men. The man spent millions of dollars just to prove the world the things that men go through, the lies that men deal with, the false accusations. Shout outs to you, Mr. Johnny Depp.
of feminists and activists, actor Johnny Depp has recently returned from exile. If you aren't familiar with said exile, Johnny Depp was under fire for years after being accused of DV by his ex-wife, Amber Heard. The drama surrounding that was, I guess, more or less concluded in 2022, but more on that later. At first, his return to the spotlight started quietly. In 2025, he appeared in this new ad for his long-standing partner, Dior, and as also
And a shout outs to Dior for not dropping Johnny. They stood on business.
So a total aside, Depp has actually been the face of this same Dior cologne for a while now, and he was featured in a similar ad about 4 years ago. Dior is apparently a very ride or die brand. Apparently they're one of the only ones, maybe even the only one that didn't drop Johnny Depp when all of his legal troubles
I don't really like their brand or use their brand, but hey, shout outs to you guys for holding ground.
started. I like you, but it's too hot for you. So, you know, I guess that's good information if you need a new perfume or something.
In the wild, everything is always in front of you.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was.
But within the last few weeks, in late July 2026, it was announced that Depp would star
I did saw that he did have a new movie coming out. Is that what everybody's so mad about?
in a new major film, Ebenezer, which is a twist on the Charles Dickens story, A Christmas Carol, and will presumably give Ebenezer Scrooge a backstory. If you don't know who these things are and what these things are, the internet is free. Sort of, not really. The trailer for this movie first premiered at
Looks pretty
Comic-Con
good.
before being released online, where it subsequently caused a massive, massive stir. Following this, outlets reported that Sopranos star Steven Van Zandt wants to cast Depp in his newly written show that is about stuff and things. And in only the last few days, producer Jerry Bruckheimer said that he was in talks with Depp about returning to the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
What? Jack Sparrow is gonna be back? My man.
We're talking to Johnny. We're working on a screenplay, and hopefully we can get this done.
Can never catch Jack Sparrow.
Which, you know, don't get me wrong, I do think that the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise is pretty fun. You know, they produce some really, really good flicks, but
I do enjoy the movies. They're very funny and like goofy.
I'm thinking maybe we just set that aside and make something new.
That would be good too.
Sticky. So sticky. Now, baby birds, as you can imagine, this has absolutely upset many of our friends over on Progressive Island because Johnny Depp is not allowed to make a comeback in Hollywood, nor is he allowed any level of success, according to these people. But what I find really interesting, and actually now that I'm saying it, I don't know why I find it interesting, this is basically every issue that is split down the middle, but this one's no different. It's really interesting to me how there's quite a large schism between people who like Johnny Depp and are excited for him to be back and want to see him do great things, and
I love Johnny Depp. I grew up with him, you know, from Edward Scissorhands to everything else that he's ever done, because There's so many damn movies.
Other people who think that he should be thrown off a waterfall with lots of sharp, pointy rocks at the bottom to break his fall.
You guys, they're finally doing it. Hollywood is finally making what we've been begging them to make for years. A Christmas Carol prequel Ebenezer Scrooge origin story starring the decaying corpse of a court-certified wife-beating Nazi.
These women really, really need some new material.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
In the comments on the Ebenezer YouTube trailer, just for example, viewers seem really happy that Johnny Depp is back, with a lot of them saying things like, you know, they never bought into the false allegations that were levied against him, that they love his acting, that they've always supported him all this time. The trailer itself has also gained 20 million views since it was released, which I think is notable because other trailers on this same YouTube channel just don't perform as well. So I think there's a lot of interest here. Which, you know, I get. I don't blame people.
I don't care about Ebenezer, but definitely kind of want to watch it.
For being excited and interested. People also seemed really happy to see Depp during his recent appearances, like this one that is on screen if you are not able to watch, where he appeared at Comic-Con as Ebenezer Scrooge and then interacted with fans.
Mr. Scrooge!
He's just a good actor.
Mr. Scrooge! Elton John! Merry Christmas!
In this video, there are some nice moments because the fans are all basically cosplaying Depp characters while Depp is cosplaying as Scrooge. Sort of like, you know, cosplay Inception.
How often do you
That
go
is pretty
to
funny.
the WC? The toilet, the pee-pee house.
As much as needed.
Terribly sorry for your accident. Why? I beg your pardon. What is your name, sir? Jack. Prove it.
Even actor Ian McKellen, who is best known to me at least for playing Gandalf, recently sang Johnny Depp's praises when asked about what
Really? You see him as Gandalf? Oh, I see him as Magneto. Magneto.
working together.
I can tell you he's in spankingly good form. Effervescent, funny.
I'm not saying he wasn't good in freaking as Gandalf, but when I look at him, Magneto.
Irreverent, serious, all at the same time. And it was a bit of a love fest, really. I fell in love with him, really.
I mean, you are a little gay.
He's very obliging to his fellow actors. Wonderful feeling on the set, when of course he's always the center of it all. So that was a treat, yes.
I confess that I don't know a lot about Gandalf, but he seems delightful. But that doesn't mean by any stretch of the imagination that everybody is reacting this way to Johnny Depp's return. No, as you can expect, the commentary online, particularly from those on the progressive side of things, has
So, women?
been less excitement and more you know, just completely
I can
normal
see that.
stuff.
I can see that.
Unsurprisingly, people are chastising the upcoming film cast and crew for even working with Depp, suggesting that his comeback after his court case with Amber Heard is a travesty that condones bashing women. Several
It's
articles
like, did we watch the same court case as these people? Like, did they not see what we saw that happened in those court hearings? Did I miss something?
have dropped railing about this, like this piece that argues that Johnny Depp's comeback means that Me Too is truly dead. Okay. This Guardian article basically argues that Johnny Depp is an abuser and therefore shouldn't be allowed to come back at all. So it seems that these people would much rather Johnny Depp be thrown into a vat of boiling.
You hear all this, but then look at Chris Brown. The man got arrested and pretty much convicted for it. Still, people pay him women pay him $1,000 to take pictures with them.
Boiling oil rather than make a comeback in Hollywood. And from what I am seeing, apparently him being anywhere near a film or show means that women are at risk and Me Too has truly died. Oh no. And the responses that I've seen online so far have been less than hinged. This one woman on TikTok says that she will be boycotting the new Ebenezer film because Johnny Depp is an abusive man. But more than that, she's mad at anyone and everyone working with him.
Johnny Depp is a wife beater, and for that reason I will not be seeing this godforsaken film. I'm finding myself pretty...
Again, they say this, they have this bravado about Johnny, What about Mr. Chris Brown that you all yearn for and pay $1,000 to take pictures with? Is he not known as a wife beater?
Pretty disgusted with Johnny Depp's little comeback tour and all of the actors and producers who elected to work with the wife beater to enable the continued laundering of his public image.
I'm not gonna lie, guys, while sifting through some of these videos of people expressing their deep hatred for Depp, I noticed some commonalities.
Look, I get it. The people yearn for a kooky genius that they can follow through the press and through his filmography and say, oh my God, what an actor. We never even knew what we had during the time. He's a chameleon. He can transform, and he's so silly in his interviews. You don't need Johnny Depp.
What is even happening here? Another very hinged woman said that she'll block people on sight for expressing excitement about Ebenezer. Rightio then.
How did this turn into a whole Trump got elected, if you voted for Trump, I'm gonna not be your friend and block you thing? How did this become that? Like, what? Just because this man got a new movie, people are gonna block people and unfriend people?
If you're in those comment sections and you're like, he's back! Oh my gosh! Johnny Depp! We love him! Or if you are the man who was commenting on every single woman's comment, being like, when they would say, he is a convicted, domestic violence man, I can't. And you're the man responding back being like, actually, in the court of law, he was not found guilty. In the UK one, it was actually a civil liability case. I have blocked you, and if I see more, I will be blocking you. Thank you. This is my service announcement. Thank you.
So, safe to say our left-wing friends aren't taking this well. Of course, there are other people who are going off claiming that Depp is a bad actor who lacks range and complaining that Ebenezer will just be another boring reiteration of the same story. This guy also seems to think that Johnny Depp wrote the film for some reason.
Well, I thought, what do audiences want to see in the year 2026? They want to see Scrooge. Yeah, from the classic Nightmare Before Christmas. It's the one where he goes and he has a nightmare before Christmas. Yeah, that's the story I want to tell.
You do understand that the primary actor is typically not the person who wrote the screenplay.
Hardly
right?
ever. The only one I can think of is like Rocky.
You okay? Anyway, the very intense reaction here stems from Depp's very public divorce and 2 defamation lawsuits. One that concerned the Sun newspaper in the UK, and the other that concerned his ex-wife, actress Amber Heard. Many of the articles that I have referenced and many of the TikTokers that I've shown you, along with lots of other people, continually make the assertion that Johnny Depp was found guilty and convicted of DV in a court of law in the UK, and that simply isn't true. But we'll come back to that. For those who don't know or who have completely blocked it out, and honestly if you have, I don't blame you, in 2016, shortly after filing for divorce, Amber Heard also filed a restraining order against Depp. In a series of sworn statements, Heard alleged all sorts of physical and emotional harm perpetrated during her marriage. Depp obviously denied these claims. But in 2018, a British tabloid outlet called The Sun published an article that called Johnny Depp a wife beater in big bold letters in a headline. Depp sued the media outlet for libel, but ultimately lost. I will note, because I think it's important, and I think accuracy is important, that UK defamation laws and US defamation laws are different, and this case took place in the United Kingdom. I also think it's important to understand that some people have said that the judge in the UK case had a bias and also had a conflict of interest and should have recused himself. I've seen that a little bit. But also, I think it's important to understand what the judge ruled in this case, what that means, and how it overall applies to all of this, because this is the biggest thing that Johnny Depp detractors use to get at him. In 2020, when Johnny Depp sued The Sun, this was a civil trial, and I think revolved more around free speech than anything else. No one was charged with a crime. There was no jury deciding guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, but a single judge instead who was balancing probabilities. Under UK law, once Depp sued, the newspaper had to prove its words were quote-unquote substantially true on the balance of probabilities, basically meaning that it was more likely than not that some of the alleged incidents happened. A single judge looked at the evidence, decided 12 of the 14 claims met that lower civil standard, and ruled the paper's defense succeeded. That protected the newspaper's right to publish, but it does not make and did not make Depp a convicted wife-beater. It was never a criminal finding, and as many of you probably know at this point, a jury here in the United States heard a very similar case between Depp and Amber Heard and reached a very different conclusion. The opposite conclusion, if you will.
Yep.
And that case stems from a 2019 op-ed that Amber Heard wrote about her experience as a DV survivor. Although she never actually named Depp directly, it was pretty clear to whom she was referring in her piece. Because of these allegations, Depp was asked to resign from the Fantastic Beasts franchise, where he played Grindelwald. He lost out on a $22 million deal for another installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, like to make the next movie, I guess. And this was the basis for Depp's $50 million defamation lawsuit against Heard. The trial was absolutely wild. There was an avalanche of just insane moments,
She shat on his bed. I can't get over that. Like, I seriously cannot get over that. She shat on his bed. I plopped it one down, kneeled, and just...
In testimony, so many things happened that were just... It was like, what is going on here? That I'm not going to rehash with you at the moment because there's a lot to get through. And also, most of you were there watching along. And if you weren't, Google exists.
Sean Bailey, who was the number 3.
Objection, hearsay. I don't know yet. I'll overrule it at this point.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Just basically said in the...
Objection, hearsay.
Your
What
Honor,
Sean Bailey said.
this is about him
It's in
learning about this.
article.
It's not for the...
saying that...
Objection, hearsay.
But during this trial, we saw quite a different picture than what Heard had initially described, more so resembling a mutually toxic relationship than anything else, with instances where Heard was also partaking in volatile and violent behavior. Depp ultimately won this defamation lawsuit against Heard, and it's important to note this was a jury trial with higher standards, just to be really clear. Heard was also ordered to pay many millions of dollars to Depp, and after this, she sort of, slinked away to Spain to basically never be heard from again. But contrary to popular belief, Depp didn't walk away from this situation scot-free. Obviously, as we know, he was iced out of Hollywood, he lost career opportunities, he lost money, but he also lost several close friends as well. And look, I've said this before, I'm gonna say it again, we do not know what took place in this relationship between these two people.
Sure.
Johnny Depp has clearly had his issues over the years,
Sure.
but so has Amber Heard, and although she tried to make this seem sort of unilateral in one direction, it's very evident that she had her part to play in the events that were taking place. Amber Heard has a history of perpetrating DV herself and was equally culpable in violence and violent behavior. Of course, this doesn't make it right or defensible, but it also doesn't mean that Johnny Depp is a wife beater, and many of those in his corner, including former long-term partners of his, asserted this. This reality, of course, really put a wrench in progressives using this case as a Me Too movement booster, which is why they maintain that Johnny Depp is an evil, abusive person rather than ever conceding that perhaps this isn't so cut and dry. But after all the drama and Johnny Depp's life and his career and his everything falling to ruin, the allegations continued to follow him. People continued to beat him up with this.
And this is why he said you can't beat the allegation. Once the allegation is out there, it doesn't matter if you can prove it false or not. You don't technically beat the allegation.
And it has basically been a huge part of his life, it seems, for the last number of years. In 2023, he acted in a French-language historical drama which played at the Cannes Film Festival, and even then, feminist groups and more than 100 French actors spoke out, saying that Depp's participation was a reflection of the French establishment protecting men who've abused women. It was actually here that he answered some questions about his comeback in Hollywood, where he basically said that he never really left. It was more a matter of the fact that people just stopped calling him.
I've had about 17 comebacks, apparently. I keep wondering about the word comeback because I didn't go anywhere. As a matter of fact, I live about 45 minutes away. Maybe people stopped calling out of whatever their fear was at the time. But no, I didn't go nowhere.
I didn't think Johnny quit. No, I just, what he said, they stopped calling him. They stopped wanting him.
Sitting around.
As another total aside, apparently Amber Heard weighed in recently by proxy about all of this. One of these tabloid outlets interviewed a friend of hers who said that Amber is beyond infuriated by Depp's comeback. In this article, she apparently told her friend that Hollywood's hypocrisy sickens her, which, to be totally fair, is a totally fair thing to say. But she also resents that Depp is back to being a studio darling and getting tons of praise and money is being thrown at him, which I don't know if that's entirely accurate. The guy is, he's got a couple opportunities potentially coming down the pipeline, but his life has been seemingly pretty hard, lady. So, the rest of you just do with this what you will. Anyway, I have to admit that I do always hate talking about these kind of situations, the one between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, because we don't know what happened. We don't know what their relationship is like, but I do think, based on many of the things that have been done and said, Amber Heard is probably not a nice person. That's definitely what I have picked up from everything I've ever read about her and seen about her. And I don't know what...
Again, shat on the man's bed.
The level of culpability was when it comes to Johnny Depp's actions during their relationship, and I don't even want to comment or speculate on that.
I can't say much of that either, because Johnny is a bit of a druggie, so, people that are into drugs do tend to be a little weird and do weird things.
But I do think, and this has always occurred to me, a person who couldn't substantiate their position probably wouldn't go to court. You probably wouldn't go and fight a tabloid or sue your ex-wife for slandering you if you didn't think that you had a reasonable amount of evidence that could back up your position to disprove that. So with all of that being said, I do think that Johnny Depp was probably mistreated in Hollywood and iced out unfairly in Hollywood. I am certain there are people that walk among all of those mutants who are infant.
She's not so certain. She doesn't want to be so concrete about it. I'll be concrete about it. Yeah, they fucked him over. They lied. They cheated on his name. They did everything to him.
Infinitely worse than Johnny Depp and have done infinitely worse things. I think he was probably a bit of a scapegoat at the time, considering how aggressive Me Too was during that period, and that if...
I can see that, where everybody was kind of getting thrown under the bus. They just had to throw him too.
Any accusation was levied against a man in this respect, the likelihood was that his life would come crashing down. There wouldn't be really any meaningful, I guess, dialogue about if he was guilty or not. People just automatically assumed that what was being said was true and that he was a perpetrator of whatever the case may be. Now that Me Too has more or less fallen by the wayside, it's safe to bring Johnny Depp back. And, although I'm happy to see him back in films and shows and whatever, because I do think he's a really good actor and I've enjoyed him in a lot of things,
Agreed.
It does make me sad that this is the state of play. On a positive note, however, you'll have a fun new film to enjoy him in come Thanksgiving time, and probably other films that he'll pop up in as time wears on. In the end, I do think it's really satisfying watching an underdog make a comeback or claw their way back to the top after being knocked down and hurt time and time again, and so...
I think this is the first time we've ever seen it happen with these types of allegations, right? Every other star, and the only reason I think it's happening is because Johnny is just so big. He's too damn good. He's too good for the Hollywood to not want to touch him, right? So that if it wasn't for him, I don't think any other actor would ever have a comeback in anything, or even sports or anything like that.
I think in the case of Johnny Depp, that's what we're seeing here, and that's probably why it's so satisfying. I have no idea how to finish out this video other than to say, for you nerds and fans, you're gonna have a new film to watch really soon, and I am happy for you for that.
Shout outs to Johnny. Again, the man is a man amongst men. Spent the money, spent the time, put his life out there. Put his intimate details out for the world to know. Why? So he can prove his innocence and can show the world that men aren't the perpetrators that women always make us out to be. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. And catch you guys next time. Ciao.